Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Minority Report as we continue with yet another episode of the program that we examine the facts, bring forward the issues, and report on them fearlessly. This week is no different to what we normally do, as we have a packed schedule and program for us today, along with a fired up panel in studio. Today is the 1st of February. It's the 1st of the month, the new month. And who would have thought that we are already into the second month of the year that just started last week? You know, many times people say that January is the longest month of the year. Well, it has come to an end. So welcome February. This evening I want to encourage us. We are viewing this program right now, most frequently viewed, the Tobago Updates Facebook page. However, you can also view this program on the Tobago Updates website, the Tobago Updates YouTube channel, and added to the cast of platforms, we have M&E TV. So those of you who want to look at this live on your television, you can tune in to M&E TV and view this program live. For those of you who are willing to comment and send your recommendations, you want to ask questions and even contribute to the program, and we're going to have this new feature up today. We have the WhatsApp contact number. That's 284-6597, 284-6597, and you can also call in direct on that number. As the program goes along, I'm going to give you another number that you can call in when we open up the show for calls. But we definitely welcome your recommendations. We definitely want to hear from you. We want to be able to put forward your suggestions and even advocate for things in different communities and for individuals as we go along. This evening I want to just get right into some of our headlines and quite a bit taking place. However, before we do that, we really want to extend our best wishes to our Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. We would have heard a number of things circulating, and then his office put out an official statement. It is just the symptoms of a man who works very hard. And sometimes as men, we work, and we don't pay attention to what we put in because we are so interested in what we are putting out. And someone like him with such human service to this country, we really want to wish him all the best and continue getting his rest so that he will be at full strength to continue executing the job and the task that he has been vested with. Heading into some of our congratulations, we have the Tourism and Wellness Secondary Schools Art Competition that was hosted by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts. We have a list of winners that was released, and 3 of those winners are from Tobago. We have in the Form 3 and 4 category, Tafiq Stewart, who placed 2nd, Kwan Phillips, who placed 3rd. Both students of Speyside High School. Let's hear it for Speyside High School. Did very well. And in the Form 5 and 6 category, we have Israel Melville. Israel Melville, who placed 2nd, also, get this, from Speyside High. It means that the teachers there, the art teacher, especially at Speyside High, is definitely doing something well. We also have in the congratulations corner the Tobago bands, and we know we had the Panorama Buzz taking place. We saw 3 of the Tobago bands really progressing going forward in the medium conventional band semi-finals, all placing in the top 10. They were Cats and Jammers, who topped and their group, and they placed 1st. We had Dixieland, who was 6th, and NGC Steel Explosion, who was 10th. Congratulations also going out to 6 Tobagonians, and I mean, this is a real issue that is there to the minority leader, I'm certain as well. 6 Tobagonians who were selected to represent Trinidad and Tobago on the National Girls Under 16 team. That's the netball team. And they're going to be participating in the tournament, the Caribbean Jean Pierre Tournament in Dominica between March 24th and April 1st this year. We would have seen an article circulating in the news sometime last week where the management of the team came out and was asking the public to assist. And I know many persons would have come forward and would have pledged their support and as we say, put your money where your mouth is. I know the minority leader himself would have stepped up to the request. And those 6 young ladies are Kimaya Anderson, Zariah Armour, Xavier Gray, Jada King, Akisi Kwashi, and we have Keiko Roy, who happens to be the daughter of our Member of Parliament for Tobago East, Diana Webster Roy, starring, and I know in the recently concluded secondary schools competition, Keiko, I think she top scored in all of Trinidad and Tobago, so congratulations. And the final set of congratulations this evening, we have 11 junior Calypsonians from Tobago qualifying for the National Junior Calypso Monarch semi-finals this Saturday at the Queen's Park, Savannah. And Johnny Douglas and Nikali Farmer of Blackrock Government Primary, Atia Lynch of Pentecostal Light and Life, Clarissa Gill and Naomi Waldrop of Signal Hill Secondary, Naomi no stranger to the competition, Diash Saul of Palatuve Anglican Primary, Deja Moore, Olu Holder and Nataki Thompson of Scarborough Secondary, Kalia Alfred of Scarborough RC, go Scarborough RC, Kokis Davidson of Bishop's High School. All these young persons would have qualified for the semi-finals this Saturday at the Queen's Park, Savannah. So quite a lot taking place in the space of culture and arts and sports and so on in Tobago. It says a lot in terms of the potential that we are seeing coming out on the island. This evening, joining me in studio as we kick this program off, we have none other than the minority leader, Assemblyman Kelvon Morris, always ready, packed with information. He came in this evening with a lot of papers and was just rearing up to go. Welcome.
Thank you, Marilyn. Good evening to all our viewers. Welcome to our next edition of the Minority Report.
Yes, and to his immediate right, who calls himself a de facto member, I think he says, is the term he uses, of the minority. We have Senator Lawrence Hislop. Welcome, Senator.
Good evening, Byron. Good evening, Kelvon, Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening. It's good to be here as usual.
Yes.
Good evening, brother Hislop.
So we want to get right into it. We saw something, and we want to treat with this as a matter of urgency as the first point going into the program this evening. However, as we are about to do that, I want us to play a short clip that will introduce the program, because we know that a lot is being said and the administration says a lot, and they always say that they're being advised and guided by certain persons. So I'll ask the director just to run that clip as we get into our first topic this evening.
And this is why we say to people, hey, I am clearing our name, although I am still there to advise them. We're not seeing the chief secretary. We, on every platform, we're trying to find the chief. We can't get him in. To even give him the advice, so that Tobago would not be in this mess. I offer this is my country, you know. My service is free, you know. So, if we see you, so the things that are happening outside, the people are saying, this is the kind of advice. I'm telling you, some of our members in their home, husband or wife may be asking them, you mean that's the kind of advice you're giving them, people? When we know part of it, we don't even know what you're doing. But out there, the people know, because you mentioned we are your advisors, and we want it to be quietly. We are not going to be in the public saying anything. We are not going to be out there saying anything at all. We are going to quietly advise you here.
Wow. Venom. We see
passion.
Okay, passion.
Yes.
Let's replace it with passion then.
Yes.
We see former Chief Secretary Ojoy Charles very, very passionate about what he's saying, and it's a good point to kick it off on. We have circulating in Tobago, the public domain, coming out of a recent interview even yesterday, and a press release coming out of the Division of Infrastructure, sent out by the Assemblyman and Secretary there, Trevor James, with respect to the Cabo Stand. And there's a narrative that he's trying to as usual, create about victimization and Trinidad treating Tobago with a great sense of disrespect. And as usual, we always seek to acquire the facts. And so I'll invite Senator Hislop to share a bit on that with us this evening.
Well, it's interesting that well, I shouldn't say interesting, it's the normal procedure for the Secretary of Infrastructure, what has become his modus operandi, to create this animosity or this perceived animosity between Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah. To give the feeling that Trinidad doesn't like Tobago and Trinidad is doing everything within its power to stymie the development in Tobago and give Trinidad this boogeyman mentality when it comes to Trinidad and Tobago. We've lived here all our lives, and I think it's starting to become a little bit annoying, if I should use that word.
Yeah. That
every time the Secretary seeks to address something, it is always Trinidad don't like we and Trinidad this and Trinidad that. And so in that advisory and even in his comments, he sought to put it out there that there was some conspiracy against Tobago as it relates to the shipment of bitumen and seeking to pass the buck as to the reason why the roads in Tobago are, for the first time in a long time, in such a deplorable state. We've accepted that the weather was a challenge during the rainy season and created a lot of issues. But we know at the start of the dry season, and there shouldn't be an issue why we can't get the road paving going in Tobago. And when you look at the level of paving that's happening in Trinidad, you want to know why such a disparity? Why have we not ramped up our road repairs in Tobago? And so the Secretary has sought to create this narrative that it is because somebody just don't like Tobago, so they're not allowing the bitumen to come to Tobago. And the information coming to hand is that the situation on the Cabo Star was a one-off issue. That was a one-off issue, and the port will issue a statement as it relates to the shipment of bitumen on the Cabo Star, because this is something that this is not anything new. We have always shipped bitumen via the Cabo Star, right, via the Inter-Island Ferry Service, and so the port will issue a statement as to what transpired on that particular day. One person went and they were denied the shipment. And that just created a whole firestorm, and the Secretary sent out a whole release that Trinidad don't like Tobago, so they're not allowing the bitumen to come. The other issue in the release was that the minister said that they were going to buy they were going to get all of the bitumen material from Lake Asphalt. But I don't know if I read the advisory wrong. What the minister was saying is that, or his statements were, we will purchase all of our bitumen needs from Lake Asphalt. Not that Trinidad is going to buy up all Lake Asphalt and there's none for Tobago. And the other issue is you have to pay the new arrangement at Lake Asphalt, which is the information that I have, is that you have to pay for your bitumen before you get it. So it's no longer a credit system. So you have to, if you pay for it today and Lake Asphalt doesn't have all that you require today, by the following day you'll get your material. Because that is the same arrangement that the contractors in Trinidad who have been carrying out massive paving in Trinidad, that is the same arrangement that they have to undergo. You go to Lake Asphalt or you do your wire transfer, you pay for your bitumen, and then you receive your shipment. You can't receive the shipment on credit anymore. And Lake Asphalt has enough material to service everybody. They're not withholding material from Tobago. They're not withholding material from contractors. You pay for your material. Lake Asphalt is in the business of making money.
Exactly.
For years, Lake Asphalt has been strapped with debt, and we've heard over and over that for years they were losing and whatever, and they've restructured the company. And so if this is one of the means that Lake Asphalt can become profitable, pay for your goods before you receive it. So I don't know if it is a challenge from the House of Assembly's perspective, that there's a cash flow issue and maybe you can't pay for it upfront. Why it may be creating a challenge, but that is the information coming to hand. The issue on the Cabo Star was a one-off, and so the port will issue a statement, and so the shipments will be allowed. And the second thing is that you are allowed to receive you would get your bitumen once you pay for it. And I want us to do a comparison. Tobago was always seen in the country as having the better roads.
Yeah.
We always pride ourselves on that when visitors come to Tobago from Trinidad. They always speak about the quality of the road network in Tobago. And now we are at a situation where I can't tell when last I've heard complaints. Up until now, we never had all of these complaints about the road conditions in Tobago, and it is deplorable. And I don't know. I honestly don't know what the real challenge is. Why we are not on a paving spree in Tobago, because we have contractors who could do the paving. But it seems like the division is satisfied to just do patchwork and patch holes instead of undertaking paving throughout the island.
Well, this goes right back to the very issue of, and you saw the political leader for the PNM put out a Facebook post about it, where basically the $300 million worth of development funding would have been basically given away to contractors with these inflated costs to do new roads, not the existing road maintenance. And what Trevor is trying to do is really trying to deflect blame and looking for a scapegoat. But I am happy that the minister would, through you, would have cleared up this arrangement, because what Trevor was trying to give to Tobago the impression that the central government is trying to stymie by utilizing this loophole to say that they won't allow
as a boogeyman
to be and so I am so happy that this matter is cleared up, and that Trevor has once again, the truth has been unmasked, and Trevor has been found wanting, because Trevor is trying to make up time to treat with the fact that he's unable to maintain the existing roads. We know from north side come all the way down into Old Road, Government House Road, go into Scarborough, even the main it is in a mess. But you go through Bacolet, you go down to Crown Point, you can't ride for about 100 meters properly without having to dodge from a pothole. It is that bad, and Trevor is trying to find an excuse as to why he cannot treat with the roads, but Trevor knows that he has already spent the money.
And you see,
and that is the reality. The money has already been spent.
They use the I think it was a SOLAS. I think it's SOLAS that which is a certification for ferries, for vessels at sea.
Yes.
And we know that bitumen is a volatile, it's flammable, but the Cabo Star, as with other ferries, have the ability to transport particular materials, but they house them in particular areas on the vessel.
Correct.
So in the event of ignition, you are able to treat with it. So you may not see the bitumen tanker at the bottom of the vessel, because that's not the place. And I'm no shipping expert or whatever, but it's common sense.
Practically,
right?
Yeah.
Because he even went as far, when I listened to his initial responses, to alert Tobagonians and send them into panic mood that you may not even be able to get something as simple as paint and all this kind of nonsense.
Come on, man.
And I think at this point, Tobagonians have to say enough is enough. We have heard enough excuse. And it seems like to me, every day is another excuse as to why they can't deliver basic goods and services. Or let's say all they want to do work, or let's say all they could fix it. So I don't know why, now that you have been given the job to fix it, you're now looking for all kind of excuse to tell Tobagonians why you can't fix it. If you can't fix it, just get yourself out.
Come off the job.
You could do the job, do it, because clearly you weren't prepared.
That's right.
Well, one of the things that was a takeaway from me when I read the release, and it was interesting that it was Trevor who himself said it, that he received a call from the contractor.
Yes.
He said it. He received a call from the contractor. And I mean, this is the same gentleman, along with his colleague, the chief secretary and so on, who kept reporting and saying to Tobago that no secretary is intimately involved with any contractor.
Well, we've been asking the questions about those road contracts that were given out in the most sinister manner. When you
dead
look
of the night.
In the dead of the night, at one point we were told there was a process involving 40 contractors. We have received a response based on the questions filed in the House, and the written response was there were only 3 to 6 contractors involved.
Because and then you see, we talk about the condition of the roads, and one of the things that troubles me, and there are some questions being asked about how we can alleviate the situation, even with the bus service to East Tobago, with that situation at Bad Rock. And to this point, to me, that is an emergency. That's an emergency work. And I think by now, I know I don't know if the RFP went out and so on, but by now, something should have been happening at Bad Rock to allow even for the bus to pass to go to Charlottesville.
When you listen Mr. Charles' pronouncement and his frustration, it is this very reason.
Yes.
Because it's governance by VAPs. Here you have a real emergency where basically the people of the East can literally be cut off.
That's right.
From the rest of the island. And that is not treated with any kind of urgency.
That's right.
But a contract was awarded within 24 hours to the point that they took only 19 days. And yet you have an urgent, critical situation, and that is not being dealt with
because
any sense of emergency, any sense of urgency.
And I accept the fact, gentlemen, that the island's infrastructure took a beating during the rainy season. We accept that. And the roads may have been bad before, and they got worse during the rainy season. But now we're at the start of the dry season, and you would expect that the plans would have been in place so that as soon as the dry season kicks off, we're able to start to do major infrastructure. And you see that Bad Rock, I know that has been a bugbear for years, but we're at the state now where, because of the rains, the road is basically impassable. And I feel for the people in East Tobago, as it relates, especially the persons who rely on the bus service. I feel for them. I feel for the bus drivers, but something has to be done very quickly and very urgently.
But what is sad about this is that the chief secretary is the representative for palliative waste. That's what I'm saying. So
I know.
That is to be something that is so near and dear to you. That would be the first thing. But you find time to spend $54 million saying that you need a road for Carnival, and you don't see it as urgent to find some money to ensure that the seniors who you just see them on by opposite market, the market there, waiting for the bus and have to utilize that bus service.
Because look how quick, you see how quick the Ministry of Work started their paving intro. As soon as the dry season
was declared,
kicked in, you had major because that was the plan from day one. Once we get the requisite releases, the requisite financial releases, and the dry season kicks in, we are going to start major roadworks in
Well, you
Trinidad.
used an interesting word there. You said that was the plan.
Well, yeah.
That is the key word.
But I'm happy you cleared that up, Lawrence, because I think the people of Tobago, deserves to know the truth. And what we are seeing in this administration from top to bottom is the inability to be consistent with the truth when speaking to the people.
So let's see. Hopefully by tomorrow night we get a shipment of bitumen to Tobago.
Yeah.
Are we hoping that in the new week that we could have some paving works kick off?
If that is the reason,
I want to know who will be the contractor to do the paving.
Thanks a lot, Lawrence.
No problem.
No problem. And we move on to an issue that has been plaguing the minority and a number of issues. However, this is one that we want to be able to highlight this evening. The process in terms of the sittings is that you submit questions that you want to have the answers to. And the mandate of the minority, which is partly to hold this administration accountable for their levels of governance. So the minority would treat with issues of concern. And so in treating with those issues of concern, the minority would then craft questions to have the desired information be made public knowledge, which there's nothing that should take place in governance that should not be able to be transparent. And we know this administration campaigned quite a bit using transparency as one of their pillars of governance in terms of what they were presenting to Tobago. However, we have a number of questions that we see the minority leader and the minority councillor going to the House on different days of sittings, asking the questions. And these questions, mind you, in some instances are submitted at least 21 days before. So there is absolutely no reason to have a delay. However, we see questions being unanswered for months. Now, that has been a customary practice, but what we saw last sitting take place is that a question that was submitted, that was approved, that was added to the order paper for the sitting on the day, 2 days before the sitting, an email was sent indicating that the minority leader would not be able to ask that particular question.
And how long was it on the order paper for?
Well, the fact that it got there, it was approved.
So we have to submit questions 21 days before it is considered for the next sitting. So the question was submitted in keeping with the standing orders, and I received on the January 13th an email coming from the clerk of the assembly, which basically with reference to the subject at caption, the presiding officers instructed that the minority leader be advised as follows. With regards to question 1A to Assemblyman Farley Chavez Augustine, can the minority leader state the selected hotels, question mark, in inverted colons? And the second aspect, so that was asking me to make a change with respect to using selected.
The wording,
the wording. And then it said with regards to question 2 to Assemblyman Trevor James, this appears to be in breach of Standing Order 25(1)(c), which states, if a question contains a statement of fact, the member asking it shall make himself responsible for the accuracy of the statement, and no question shall be based upon a newspaper report or upon an unofficial publication. And it goes on further to say, the presiding officer has asked that the minority leader be informed and we submit the necessary changes. So subsequent to this, we would have made the necessary changes, resubmitted, and of course we received no objection thereafter. In fact, we received the official order paper.
Yeah.
With the question.
With the question.
With the question.
So which indicates that it has been approved once the question is on, because remember the order paper is really the agenda for the meeting.
Agenda for the sitting.
So the order paper, the question was approved because we made adjustments, and you would recognize that the standing order was clear that if you're asking something of fact, you have to say that you take responsibility. So we made that point. We took responsibility. The question had to do with a press release, which is an official publication, so it's not unofficial.
Right.
So we referenced the publication of the press release, and we asked the question. However, to our surprise and astonishment, one day before the sitting, a notice went not to me, the minority leader who asked the question, but a general notice came to all members, and the general notice came via email, which said, dear members, I am directed by the presiding officer to inform you that question number 43 on the order paper for the 13th sitting of the Assembly on Thursday, January 26, 2023, will not be called by the presiding officer. No reason given. The said question being that to the Secretary, Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Assemblyman Trevor James, by Minority Leader Kelvon Morris. So,
no reason.
No reason, general notification. And what was strange about that, I responded by asking kindly for some justification, because the standing order that treats with this matter of questions, and I'll read the standing order for you. I think it's all right. Amendments, questions. Let me go back.
Yeah, because that's what's going on.
Contents of questions, right? So that's under standing order 25. So under 25(1)(c), it was the issue she had originally. It was approved subsequently.
It was corrected, right.
There's the standing order 25(2) clearly prescribes how you treat with any issue and how you communicate those issues with respect to the questions. If the presiding officer is of the opinion that any question of which a member has given notice to the clerk infringes the provisions of any standing order or is in any way abusive, he or she may direct that A, the member concerned be informed that the question is out of order. B, that the question be entered in the order book with such alterations as he may direct, or he or she may direct. And in this instance, clearly, the first part of the standing order was observed initially
when they sent it back.
The second time around, it was basically adopted, approved, and put on the order paper. However, where we have serious concerns is that having approved, a general notice was sent and there was no notification to the member, being the minority leader, who would have filed the question, and clearly, which is a breach of the standing orders, because the standing orders outline how you are to conduct yourself, whether you are member, presiding officer or so. There's clear protocols as to how we treat.
That's the rule book for the House.
And in this situation, what it clearly exposed and it clearly demonstrates that the rules that we all supposed to subscribe by was definitely not followed, because no notification, no justification came as to why the question would not be asked. It would not be called. Would not be called. And so that is a situation that we have a serious concern.
What was the question?
About. So the question was treated.
We have the question.
Yes, I would ask the director.
I'm sorry, I'm running the show.
No. I'm sure a lot of persons.
What is the question?
So you would recall that we had the issue of the this contract, and you recognize this contract continues to be one that is a bugbear for this administration. They keep ducking and hiding. So coming out of this, you recall when the chief secretary himself, when the allegations were made that the contractor had made some allegedly racist remark to a Newsday reporter. So, and we were told that investigation would soon, the chief secretary did tell us that he would be undertaking an investigation.
Via this release.
And so there's
actually it was, the investigation started on October 28th.
Right. So we were simply asking the question to Trevor whether he also considers this statement that was made racist, and whether he's concerned, because remember, this is a person now providing goods and services to the people of Tobago, and we just wanted to know, you as the line secretary, whether you're concerned about an interaction where the person who is supplying a service to the people of Tobago might be an open racist. And for some reason, the question has been denied. And when what was surprising to me, when I attempted simply to ask the presiding officer in the house as to whether she, what was the reason, I was simply struck down and again told, I've ruled.
Okay.
So nobody seems to want to, at least in a transparent way, just simply say what, because I want to know going forward, what can I ask and what can't I not ask.
So the question is not going to come back on the order paper?
Well, I intend to, again,
refile it,
and refine it. So I will refine the question again.
But that's your prerogative as a member of the House and the minority leader. To refile the question and for the question
so
to
I
be
will
answered.
refine and refile. And hopefully we would finally be able to address the issue.
So you're saying, Brother Morris, that the presiding officer breached the standing order?
Well, I am saying that the rules that are spelled out here in black and white were not followed.
Okay. Interesting.
Very interesting times.
Because that's because how I understand it is that once the question is on the order paper, and it is once it's on the order paper, it has been accepted.
Yeah.
And if it's on the order paper,
approved,
it has to be answered.
Correct.
It's either it is answered or it is deferred.
Yeah.
Well,
we know this is the administration that changing up things.
Refine it and refile it.
Changing up things.
And we'll see if there's really a conspiracy. that's
well, and that raises the question: who is really in control of the house?
Well, the standing orders are supposed to guide everybody.
Whose house is it?
Yeah.
Whose house?
So we had that as another major issue. However, there was a pronouncement made again in response to a question asked, and this shows how important these questions are, so that the public can be informed as to what is taking place with the administration and how they are managing or not managing the finances of the island. We had a question asked pertaining to a particular bailout of some business entities on the island within the hospitality industry. And we saw the Chief Secretary fumble his way through a very lengthy presentation before actually answering the question. I would like to ask the director to just run that clip before we get into the discussion with Tobago tonight about it. I'm sure everybody would know what it's about when they hear it.
The Tobago Tourism and Hotel Association, through its membership, sought to find out those that were affected. A total of 6 hotels were presented. TTAL proceeded to verify the figures with Tiantec. When verified, 5 of the 6 establishments had outstanding bills. One of the 6 had in fact paid their bills. and therefore TTAL provided paid the reserve capacity rates for the following hotels: Mount Irving Bay Hotel, Starfish, or otherwise known as Long Beach Hotel, Ravenels Resort, Grafton Beach Resort, and Half Moon Blue Resorts Limited, or what some will know as Backlet Beach Club. The total sum was $2,173,000, $512.54. The one hotel whose name was submitted, but when TTAL checked with Tiantec, it showed that they had no outstanding balance, was the Crown Point Beach Hotel, and therefore nothing was paid on behalf of that hotel.
So, I think this response created probably the most stir I've seen on Facebook when Miss Williams posted it.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Because here you have it where everybody's struggling in Tobago. You know things are tough. There was one time I had to go and I was literally begging because a couple of people went to the Division of Health for something as basic as food card and were denied the food card even though they had legitimate needs because they had children, they had no inability to feed them, but they were told for various reasons why they couldn't get the food card. But you have these businesses that we were told during the carnival had a bumper season, right? You remember
It's October Carnival.
In October Carnival where we were told that over $300 million in revenue and the accommodation sector would have benefited so much. And we are here bailing out, not even alone.
Not even alone.
You understand? Not even alone. You are here gifting 5 hotels, over $2 million. So you tell, if I was an ordinary Tobagoan and if I had a taste at electricity bill now that I'm struggling to pay, I was going to the chief secretary and simply saying, sir, I'm unable to pay my bill, and based on equal opportunity requirements, I want a bailout. No, because what is you have set a precedent. How do you now tell others that they can't get?
So for me, I don't want the viewership to feel that we are anti-business, because we're not. Because the business people have a role to play, and they create employment and so on, and governments bail out businesses from time to time. But I want to speak to a wider issue. I want to speak to an issue of priorities. And I want to speak to an issue that you are unable to treat the basic needs of your citizenry, and you are selecting a small group of people to help. Because as you rightly said, the people have challenges with food card, people have challenges with
health,
funeral grant, with whatever. These small but yet effective and necessary grants and assistance that helped the everyday man on the street. And our citizens in Tobago are unable to get these services, but you are able to agree to assist the business sector with paying electricity bills. And this is after a $50 million was provided during COVID to the said hospitality sector.
Industry.
And so, and some may say that they didn't get the money and whatever. But the reality is, if $50 million was provided, there are resorts who benefited from the $50 million. And so, to me, it's difficult for me to accept the fact that you could justify paying electricity bills for hotels And I say it again, I have no problem with assisting businesses.
No, of course.
But let's justify how you pay up to $2 million in electricity bills for hotels, and the regular citizen, the regular man on the street, is unable to get basic services.
Guys, I
things
want
are
to
falling
just
apart
put
at the
out-
hospital and all of that.
I want to just put out the numbers
Yeah.
because I think we can have the director open the lines, and as fast as persons
Oh, yeah.
call in.
Yeah.
So the numbers to call in are 284.
I'm happy you're living up.
Minority leader.
Because you're a good politician, man. Man keeping you
The
in
numbers
the
are
family.
284 6597 284 6597 or 356 8833. That is 356 8833. I'll ask you if you are calling in to keep your comments brief and to the point. Let us be respectful.
Because we'll cut you off.
Otherwise, we will cut you off. Let us add value to the conversation this evening and value by extension to all of Tobago. So the lines are now open, 284-6597 and 356-8833. And as we continue the conversation, feel free to call in. The director will let us know, and we will entertain your comments. Yes, gentlemen.
Yeah, so with respect to that payment as well, one of the things, because we also asked about what was the criteria used, and you're hearing that there were 6, but 1 paid. So I'm saying to myself, if the criteria is that we're going to treat with these 6, why? Because, so you're saying you're rewarding those who
unable to meet their commitments.
Unable to meet their commitment, but the one who was able to meet their commitment gets nothing.
He paid his bills.
But you understand what I'm saying? So, and did you do the investigation to see what was this circumstance? And that's what I'm saying in terms of the very criteria. It begs a question.
It really speaks to a wider problem, even with the tourism sector. And we know the sector was in decline for a period of time, but as you rightly said, Minority Leader, we were told that during the carnival period, that the hospitality sector had a bumper season,
Exploded.
and then we still, and on the back of that, we still have to come and bill out the electricity bill to the tune, or electricity bills to the tune of close to $2 million.
And even with the issue of the criteria, the fact that you could have found out just before wanting to pay that one would have already paid their bill, could it also be a case of, well, I could afford it, but if you want to pay for me?
Yeah, because remember, this is a situation.
So was the criteria shared with you? Was the criteria shared?
Well,
No,
no.
he didn't share
But
the
he said
criteria.
this was something that came to his attention in January.
Right.
And which
January
of
last
20,
year?
last year.
Okay.
And it was paid in December. So they've been carrying this issue for an entire year.
Wow.
And the other thing I was kind of concerned with respect to this whole issue is the fact that, here it is, we had to ask a question
In order to get that,
in order to get that
that
information.
information. Correct.
And this is an administration that, promised to be very transparent. If you're making such a decision like that will have public concern, that is something you should communicate beforehand. Why does it have to be done in such secrecy in the dead of the night? And then, it's through a question.
Minority Leader, taking up on what you said, you indicated that the Chief Secretary said this came to his knowledge in January and it was paid in December. So basically 11 months would have passed. Who was paying the bill for those 5 billion cycles? Because I don't think that Tiantec took a promissory note from January to wait till December.
No, well, I'm not going to beat up on the hotels. No one beat up. Because the thing about it is that if I am offered a facility, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Right? But my concern is that the entire economic situation in Tobago is stagnant.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not just in the
Very,
hotel
very
sector.
grave.
It's not just in the hotel sector. businesses are struggling, right? There is little or no economic activity on the island, and so it speaks to a wider problem that I think the administration really and truly needs to treat with and needs to speak to. Because your priorities, where are you spending the money?
Another observation I made, and it's dealing with even the information we received from the Secretary about this 300 million. And what is curious is that I asked for a comparison of October figures 2019 as compared to what transpired during the period of the carnival. And based on the numbers I received, there was no real significant difference or significant uptick in terms of what we would have gotten pre-COVID and what we received during this carnival, which was an additional item in the October space.
Right.
So, and if in October, the figures are almost about the same, then it's kind of curious as to where she got this $300 million intake in revenue from, you know. And so we have to have a bigger discussion on our tourism sector at this time.
Correct.
Along with the overall economic outlook for Tobago at this period, because you're seeing, I've just seen on a page where one of our major hardwares has shut down.
Yeah.
And over 20 workers are now unemployed without a job. So you're seeing hardware shutting down. THA have to bail out hotels because they can't pay their light bill. You're seeing situation where contractors can't pay their workers. You're seeing situation where the banks are now looking to levy on various business persons. And you're seeing the complete stagnation of the economy, and this requires a bigger conversation.
Yeah, it really does, and
it is frightening in a real sense.
Because you see, we can't. After what we're going into the second year, second year of the administration, and you can't. There is no longer the room. After you into your second year of a 4-year term, you're quickly running out of room to blame the previous administration. You're quickly running out.
Guys, we have a caller on the line. Hello, good night, caller.
Good night, gentlemen.
Hello? Yes, we're hearing you.
Yes, good night, gentlemen. I'm calling concerning the road to go to Pigeon Point. When people come off the tourist boat, the taxi drivers have to use that road on a regular basis. And that road, sir, is like you're making an 8. You could damage your car. The passengers, the tourists want to know which area we're carrying them because of the condition of that road. But I agree with the gentleman on the program, because it's not Pigeon Point Road or Lola Road. It's all of Tobago. So I am asking who in charge the present assembly, for you really care about tourism. You need to put your priority first. Now it's crucial season. You need to fix the entrance. You need to fix that whole road instead of building stage in the sea and this kind of craziness. Have a good night, sir.
Thank you very much, caller.
No, I'm happy the caller raised that point, because I received a call from one of the vendors in the Pigeon Point space, and asking me to raise that matter about the road inside of Pigeon Point, which is really, really deplorable. And considering that we are in the height of the tour, and you know that is one of the main places that the tourists go coming off of this visit. off of the ship is Pigeon Point.
Yeah.
And therefore it speaks again to where are the
Priorities.
priorities? Something as basic as that, where you know that should be given some urgency.
Yeah. And you
Why-
see, and I'm going to keep looking at it from this perspective. It cannot be a money issue.
Yeah.
It is a management issue, because in the previous year, when the Minister of Finance could say that at the budget that the THA had received 91 or 95% of its allocation, and by the end of the financial year, it would receive 100%. And when you consider that percentage-wise, if it is not the same, they have received more.
Yeah,
Yes.
200 million more.
Yeah.
They have received more
200 million.
than the previous PNM administration. So it cannot be a money issue. It has to be a management issue, and we need to inform Tobagonians that the Assembly is receiving its allocation on time.
On time.
And
They're in a better position
and the previous
than the previous administration, when the previous administration was receiving its allocation monthly.
Correct.
Because there was a cash flow issue within the country. Now the country is in a better place financially, and yes, the present administration in their negotiations may have even gotten the finance minister to agree to give them their allocation every 2 months, or based on what the law says, quarterly, but they are receiving their allocation. And I want to say again that when the administration came into power in December, the only part of that financial year that the PNM had used was the first quarter.
Yeah.
correct.
The PDP came into office at the start of the second quarter of the financial year. So they were able they had at their disposal second, third, and fourth
Spending.
of the financial year. And now they have gotten an entire financial year to run with.
Because
So it is not a money issue,
the
it's a
allocation
management
at that
issue.
time was 2.2 billion total.
Yes.
And we were able to show where there, as of, I think it was March, there was $1.8 billion available to be used for the management of the island of Tobago. So as you rightfully said, it is not an issue of cash flow.
It's not money.
It is a management and leadership crisis that we have right now.
Because when we talk about when this notion is flying around constantly, that PNM did nothing for 21 years, and 20 years is nonsense.
Yeah.
Because one example that we could give is that within a 4-year period, 8 community centers were built on this island under
Correct.
the PNM
Correct.
in a 4-year term.
Correct.
So when we
Wow.
talk about nothing being done, I don't like to use the word annoys, but it annoys me when people can genuinely look around this
Yeah.
island, can look around this island and want to say that the PNM did nothing for 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Absurd.
Some of the same community centers that the executive council is meeting the people is the same community centers that were not built in the 21 years. And to me, it's mind-boggling. Some of the cultural complex that say it's sinking and leaking.
The lit playing field.
The lit
that
playing
they're now
fields
having-
across
yeah.
the board. And you're telling me nothing for 21 years, but you have an example of 8 community centers being built in one term, in one 4-year term. So it's not a money issue, it's a management issue.
Definitely. Folks, the numbers to call, 284-6597, 284-6597, and 356-8833, 356-8833, and we have a call on the line. Hello, caller. Good night.
Hi, good night, Marilyn.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, good night, Marilyn. Good night, Senator Hislop and Minority Leader Cherry.
Good night, good night.
Good night.
Let me say, the senator hit the nail on the head. When these people came into power, they were campaigning to win an election and be PNM. They were not campaigning to govern Tobago, you know. So, I mean, when you're out of office, you can talk about everything. You can talk about how bad the hospital is. As a shadow secretary, I think she was. You can talk about everything. Let me go and see what to do in the hospital, what to do and all that. When you're in the driver's seat right now, you don't have a clue. You don't have a clue. So, yes, Lawrence, you are so correct. They won the election and nobody went into election to win. They didn't go into election to manage. And just one more thing, waiting on this reshuffle. Because secretaries are saying that they can't get moving. So we're waiting on the reshuffle. We're waiting on the reshuffle, and we're waiting to hear about the board for the hospital, the place mashing up its chaos, total chaos. Total chaos. These people don't have a clue. They don't have a clue as to what it is. Have a good night, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Caller, and for those observations. And as he mentioned this issue of the reshuffle, and it just goes again. I don't know, but this young man seems not to be a man that can keep his word, and you can look forward to him. So at least Marilyn promised us that we'll get phone calls tonight. And Marilyn delivered. We were told about this reshuffle very early in the year, sometime in January. January has come and gone.
No, well, let's give the CEO of Tobago, let's give the Chief Executive Officer of Tobago, the Chief Secretary, the benefit of the doubt that maybe there is no need for a reshuffle anymore.
Well,
And if that's the case, then come back to the public and say, I've revisited my secretaries and where they sit, and at this time there is really no need for a reshuffle. Right? And let's move on.
Fair enough.
Then we have the ex gratia. We are told, well, it was to be December 31st.
I stop talking about that. You know.
We give
I think when we talk about that, we remind them that they're not keeping their promises.
No, you know, it's one thing, but it is really, really a sad thing that, you know, you're seeing all these commitments, and then when time comes, it's not being kept.
No, and you see, we talk about, and persons are saying that we can't compare 1 year or 2 years to 21 years. And nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. All we're saying is that you campaigned on a premise that there was, that things were wrong in Tobago. And we're not saying that things were perfect. But we are at a stage now where if the island continues like this for the next 2.5 years or 3 years, we are going to be in a very, very bad state. Anytime the island continues at the rate that it is going. Because I don't know how people could honestly say that things are better than it was.
People have been saying that?
I'm just saying, because
I haven't heard that.
Because when you talk about a slowdown and a stagnation in your economy, things could never be better than it was. And the gentleman before spoke about the road to Pigeon Point. And I want to address something. The situation where money and roadworks, infrastructure works throughout the country, it was stymied during COVID. It was stymied during COVID. And persons have to be honest in the sense that a lot of the money that would have gone to infrastructure works had to go to the health sector. Had to go to keep public servants in jobs, paid during a pandemic when nothing was going on, and to keep people alive, to buy medication and all of these things. And so now we are at a position where things could start to happen. We would have expected that there would have been work, at least at the start of the dry season. We would have seen. And one of the key things with dry season work is road works, you know. Yeah, that's you kick it off, let's get going.
But you would see, and I think, Marilyn, you have a clip where now the chief advisor to the Chief Secretary is now himself up in arms, frustrated, and has a lot to say about, you know, some of the challenges in terms of what he's seen firsthand as to why we are in this predicament that you so eloquently described.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any...
I would have forwarded it to the director. I'll ask him to he can run them back to back. These two are very short. Yeah. Meanwhile, folks, the numbers to call, let me just remind you, because we're getting ready to wrap up. 284-6597 and 356-8833. So as we wait for...
Trinidad keeps 50 billion to see about the 1.2 million or 1.3 billion people you have down there. 52, and they also have a large private sector, including oil, gas, name it, banking, everything like that. In Tobago, you give us 2. You give Tobago 2. The $2 billion that you give to Tobago is to do what? Is to see about Tobago and the 65,000 people out here. You cannot take those monies and bring people who have 50 billion in Trinidad and give them those contracts in Tobago. That's what is happening now. It's crazy.
All right. Mr. Charles, I'm getting...
You have to stop that.
I mentioned that earlier.
This ain't going on for too long, you know.
All right, so...
Again.
What do you mean by that?
I said this would not be going on for too long.
But you can...
I protect my name, that's all.
All right. All right. All right, let's go.
When foolishness is going on, and we can tell you how to deal with it, and you're not around to hear what we're saying, I will disconnect myself from such foolishness.
Okay, fine. That's what you mean. That is what
I want to repeat that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Charles, and of course...
Back here. Let's go with the other one time, Director.
Trinidad keeps 50 billion to see about the 1.2 million or 1.3 billion people you have down there. 52, and they also have a large private sector, including oil, gas, name it, banking, everything like that. In Tobago, you give us 2. You give Tobago 2. The $2 billion that you give to Tobago is to do what? Is to see about Tobago and the 65,000 people out here. You cannot take those monies and bring people who have 50 billion in Trinidad and give them those contracts in Tobago. That's what is happening now. It's crazy.
All right.
And this is why we say to people, hey, I am clearing our name, although I am still there to advise them. We're not seeing the Chief Secretary. We, on every platform, we're trying to find the Chief. We can't get him in. To even give him the advice so that Tobago would not be in this mess. I offer this is my country, you know. My service is free, you know. So, if we see you, so the things that are happening outside, the people are saying, this is the kind of advice. I'm telling you, some of our members in their home, husband or wife may be asking them, you mean that the kind of advice you're giving them people? When we know part of it, we don't even know what you're doing. But out there, the people know because you mentioned we are your advisors and we want it to be quietly. We are not going to be in the public saying anything. We are not going to be out there saying anything at all. We are going to quietly advise you here.
So we have heard it. We have heard it from the quote-unquote advisor. I don't know for how long, because he did indicate that this will not be going on for much longer. We wait to see how that will unfold. Minority Leader, I mean, coming out of this, I know there are some very quick issues he wanted to also raise to begin to ventilate, at least in the public domain, with respect to challenges being faced out of your office with this present administration. I don't know if it's because you're executing too efficiently.
Well, of course, I really wanted to treat with a matter that is of great concern to me as Minority Leader and the office to which I hold. So, for the past year, the staffing arrangement of the Office of the Minority Leader has been under review, and awaiting Executive Council approval so that the persons who are currently contracted short-term can be regularized. As of January 31st, this issue remains unresolved. This is exactly a year and 1 month later since the conversations began. And we have seen in that time we've seen the Office of the DCS set up, Deputy Chief Secretary set up with staffing. We've seen assistant secretaries being given additional staffing. And yet, an entire year later, the staff assigned and employed, engaged with the Office of the Minority Leader is still on short term, to the point where this month, the information coming to me is that they will not be paid.
Wow.
And these are people coming off from Christmas being paid early, now into January, which we know is the toughest month. And why it is very disheartening to me is that I have been prosecuting matters elsewhere where persons are getting challenges being paid. And here it is in my own office, a situation where I have zero control. My own staff are without their duly owed salary for the month of January. And this is a matter that has been ventilated at the very highest level, yet we are still here with this matter unresolved. And I'm asking the question, is it because the Office of the Minority is not aligned to the government of the day? Because at the end of the day, we are the Tobago House of Assembly, and all of us are performing a public function. And therefore, I do not see why in the performing of the public function, it appears to be stymied, being derailed. And this is coming from persons who would have once sat on that side and should be best positioned to understand some of the challenges. And even because I remember when we had the meeting with the Chief Secretary, that was one of the things he said, that he understands how difficult it is, being on this side, the minority side, and therefore some of the challenges they face, he would ensure that it does not, we do not face the same kind of challenges. Yet we are here where the office, I have no contracted staff, except that they are short-term. We have had an arrangement that is in front of the Executive Council, gone through MSU with recommendations for full-time staff, and this matter remains unresolved. We are in a building, and you have been there, Senator, which is unfit for the Office of the Minority and unfit for anybody, as a matter of fact.
Any occupation.
Any occupation. Sometimes we come and there's human feces outside of the office. The back of the people go there, and you know where it's located. So plenty of the fellas who having their drinks and they need to urinate, just goes to the side of the building and they pass.
Because there's no security.
The building has no security. Well, we have 2 parking. So that in itself
is a challenge as well.
Many times I come there, I'm parked in, I can't leave. Sometimes I can't even access the park. You have people coming to visit, and there's no proper area to access these visitors coming to the office. The building itself, there's issues with the AC, there's molding. We've had a report from OSH that was critical of the building, and we've gone to them, we've done the work, we have said, here, we have a couple options that is in keeping with what you're already paying, that is aesthetically more amenable to having persons coming in. And we have been ignored for an entire year. So sometimes, as much as you see us going about doing the business, we are doing it under undue stressed, frustrated, but we continue to remain focused. But I can tell you it has not been easy. And I know I have staff who currently I could understand the pressure they're under right now, having coming out from Christmas
and not being
paid for January.
Wow. We started a new month.
And the instructions is, through no fault of their own, through no fault of ours, that they are not to be paid.
Until the contract is regularized?
Until the contract is regularized.
Which we've been waiting for more than a year to be done.
The same contract that we've been waiting on for an entire year.
That's rough.
So I'm saying if there's any IR person want to provide pro bono advice for my staff,
you'll have to pick it.
Please contact Mr. David and he would give you all the requisite
You'll have to
information.
pick it at executive council meeting. You go with placards.
I'm willing to give you the time off.
That's rough. Yeah. Because we start a new month.
Yeah. New month.
And there is no word as to when they're going to be regularized.
No word.
And what is I mean, even worse is the fact that even when the issues are raised via emails, via letters being dropped off, the communication is never forthcoming.
Yeah. We've written.
Never.
We've written.
You don't get any information.
And you know, the thing about it, and as I said to one officer, I said, you know, it seemed that we don't appreciate diplomacy in this space. It seems like we like the rah-rah and the noise.
Yeah.
That here it is, we would have gone through the proper channels, different processes.
Yeah.
We've written, we've tried to meet, and we're doing this thing quietly, you know. But here, and we are not given the kind of respect and the issues and given the kind of urgency and attention. But I'm sure had we gone the way of being loud, bringing the media and creating a whole fracas, you would have seen this situation. So, but we would continue to do it the very peaceful, diplomatic way and hope that once and for all, this matter will be addressed and resolved.
When they go low,
we go high.
Yeah. So what you have to do.
On that note, gentlemen, we are well over our time, and we really want to extend heartfelt appreciation to Tobago Updates and the director in studio with us this evening for being very patient. We started a bit late, some challenges, but we want to thank you all for really enjoying with us. We want to thank our viewers for staying on and being a part of the discussion. We want to thank our callers as well. And we look forward as the weeks unfold. We know persons now knowing that the call system actually works, that we are going to have a windfall of phone calls coming in when we open the lines. Gentlemen, closing remarks?
Well, once again, I am for Tobago. I'm born here, grew here. This is where I've lived practically all my life. And my greatest desire right now for the present administration is that they get their act together, do the work that they were hired to do, the work that they said that they can do. Because once that happens, all of Tobago will benefit.
Yeah.
It's time that we get the economy of Tobago going. We heard Mr. Charles and his comments. We've said it over and over again, that you can't use the money that we have been allocated, can't use the money to build another economy. That money has to be used to build the Tobago economy. And I'm just asking the administration to really and truly focus on the Tobago economy, and let's get the work going so that it can benefit all of Tobago. Yeah?
Yeah, I quite agree with Senator, and thanks for coming through as usual,
Yeah.
Senator. And that has been the conversations around the Tobago space. People are genuinely concerned, and even persons have said to me, Morris, you are PNM, but we really want you also to, consider in dealing with the issues that you deal with it from a Tobago perspective. And that's has been our mantra from day one. We do what is in the best interest of Tobago. We have always shown our willingness to work with the administration as much as they would allow us, so that we can really move the process forward. Because if Tobago does well, we all will benefit. And if the island struggles, then it is to the detriment of all of us. So, I want to also reinforce that plea and call by Senator Hislop for this administration to really get to work, get focus, put a Tobago focus on. And in doing that, let us work, get the minds that can get Tobago moving together in a space, and let us work and get the island development back on track, because we have lost a year. And in wrapping up, I just want to make a plug for next week. Next week program, we will have the political leader of the PNM on, and he's coming on, director, and we are asking for 2 hours, please, because it will be a special. There's some bombshells in that that presentation that the political leader is coming to discuss with you also. He will be on next week, Tuesday, from 8 to 10 p.m. So make sure, set aside the date, tell a friend.
Get your popcorn.
And get your front seat. The political leader would be here to have a very candid discussion, a very detailed discussion with you all about some of the issues plaguing Tobago. So next week's show shall be one to really look forward to.
Definitely. Thanks a lot. Before we close, I'm seeing the director sending, I think one person wanted the comment to run. Is it that, a voice note? Okay, let's hear it before we close.
Okay, a voice note, I know.
Good night to the panel. Mr. Bego in the house here. I'm known as Mr. Bego in the house. My concern is our roads used to be on top of the line. I live at Plymouth at Ventia, and was resurfaced, and the road going to Lekito, they were paving it. They started to do drainage work and thing, but I know that they was doing housing construction. So the big trucks and them pass and do a little damage and thing to the roads and thing. But yet still our roads was good, even coming into Pentland. And lo and behold, after the election and the road get more deplorable, nothing is being done. Is the other day I see they try to do a little patchwork. Well, that patchwork wasn't done good, because the road still deplorable. But then again, that is change for you. That is change for you. They say they would have been the fix-it crew to fix the problem, but the problem get worse. People cannot get pay on time. Checks bouncing left, right, and center. You tell me was being given an ex gratia of 10,000, then you come and you're saying 1,000, but before you say 1,000, you was differentiating who would have been given the 10,000, which you were selecting workers from within the department and not workers who are outside of the department like myself. Then you throw the same workers and them civil servants under the bus by saying, oh, then doing what they're supposed to do and they're keeping back things. They clearly don't know what they are doing, and Tobago people was duped. You cannot tell who are in this house here, PDP independents, and once you're independent, you can't tell them what to do. But Mr. Morris, you have plenty to deal with that presiding officer, because the curtail you put on she still have it out for you. So guys, thanks for the information. Tobago in the house locked on and listening.
I have to take that voice note. On that note, thank you. Thank you very good night. I love you all. Have a good night.
So, folks, we as indicated, we look forward to next Tuesday. We're going to ask you to get your front seat for that special program as we continue to fight the battles and trod the journey. This is Marlon David. I'm saying good night, and we look forward to your continued prayer and support. Have a wonderful night.